Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I'm down here in my, I guess you'd say my potted plant graveyard, where stuff that's dying or stuff we're going to mulch or compost just to reclaim the potting soil kind of goes to fade away into nothingness. I was doing an experiment out here. I have these two large pots full of compost, soil, dirt, whatever, just a mixture of stuff that I grow in. Last year I tried to grow a couple little seed potatoes from store-bought stuff in one, and didn't really turn out anything. But this year I tried something a little different. Let me show you. Here is this pot of old potting soil. It had a tree in it originally, and the tree had died, so the people were throwing it away. We've got potatoes growing in it. I'm not really doing a whole lot with it, just kind of letting it do its thing. But there's no potatoes planted in here. These were eyes that had fallen off of my seed potatoes in the burlap sack. And they were just the little nodules, the little pieces that was left. And I just dumped them all in here. No potatoes attached, no nothing. So just the eyes. I wanted to see what would come of it. And I mean, there's little sprouts all over. And my goal is just to see if this will be some potatoes we can use as seed potatoes next go around, just to see what comes of it. I don't expect there to be anything that we'll actually harvest to be able to eat out of this, but who knows. And I actually still had another potato come out of this one this year, sprouted up, but I think a squirrel got it because it is gone now. So I'm just gonna see what happens. If nothing else comes up in this over the next probably month or so, I'm probably going to try plugging a couple sweet potato slips into here and see what comes out of it. Well, this is what I mean by my pot graveyard. You know, stuff that people throw away or give to me, turn around and set out here, and then I reclaim the soil and mulch the weeds that grow up in it later, and then possibly reuse the pots depending on what we got going on. But I just thought this was neat. I'm going to be doing some other stuff here in a little bit and wanted to show y'all. Hopefully later in the season I'll actually have some results to show from here. They're not getting a lot of sunlight, so I don't know how this is going to affect it, because they're kind of in the shade for most of the day except the last 2 hours of the afternoon. But we'll see what comes of it. Something I wanted to show y'all real quick over here in the pig pens. But old Lucy over here is showing something else I wanted y'all to see, if Duchess don't come over here and ruin it. Lucy wants to be everybody's mama. And she was just nursing this little one here that we haven't given a name. That is Wanda's little singleton. Oh, Wanda in there, but this little one's digging out. So I'm probably going to wind up opening that gate today, letting them commingle. But Lucy will let anybody's babies come nurse from her and lay with her, and she'll just take over all the babysitting duties and everything. Lucy is such a good mama. What you doing, little one? Yeah, let me open this door and get in here. Watch out. Watch out. You ready to get out, Wanda? Huh? There you go, since your baby stays out. Y'all behave. Wanda is the biggest and the meanest, so we'll see what happens here. There's Lefty. She'll eventually catch Wanda, size-wise. Lefty's Lucy's daughter. Pearl's pretty close. Everybody's coming to check everything out, Wanda. You lost your exclusivity. That means you can come on out. That little girl, she just don't care. I think she's big enough to fend for herself, so it's all good. I'm gonna walk over here and show you all this real quick. Last year when we were feeding throwaway fall decorations, that was given to us, some, you know, fancy squashes and pumpkins and whatnot. We had some go in here, these piglets. Yeah, there's still some coming up. But I've blocked this one off so that it can just grow. This is where we raise up our male piglets. So it's kind of like a quarantine pen. But check this out. It's just become a big squash patch. And look at here. Little ornamental pumpkins. Growing all through here. Let's see. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe there was some more over here. And these just sprouted up from the pigs not eating them. The seeds. There's another one. This is just gorgeous. How well these are doing. First they didn't like the heat. And you can kind of see the geese stick their necks in and trim all of it over here on this side. So it's gonna hopefully spread this way. And we're just gonna let them grow. Let them grow all year until they die naturally, and then we'll harvest the squashes and stuff and see what we get out of it. And they might just get tossed over there back to the pigs, but I think it's pretty neat. I'm going to be closing this area off the next week or two and just spreading something in here as well, because this is a farrowing pen, normally where the female piglets get to live. But I'll probably wind up doing the same thing in here and just letting it heal and grow up and see what comes of that. Whew. Then we walk over here and look at this dead oak tree. Looks like she's lost a lot more limbs. Waiting for all that to fall. Hopefully this stuff will be enough to shield the fence from heavy damage. And the grapes are holding on to her as well. Something killed that oak tree. I don't know what, but she did not produce at all this year. No leaves, no nothing. She's covered in grapes. I don't think the grapevines did it. And she's got all of her bark, so the pigs didn't do it, but there is a lot of ambrosia beetle residue on it. Somebody's been chewing on her. So we'll see. The pigs will go ahead and skirt a young tree and peel all the bark off of it and kill it. These bigger trees, they don't usually hurt to that extent. Yeah, looks like they cleared out all of these branches right here. And most of these. So hopefully those tops will go without hurting anybody. I just need to get this off the electric, protect it. This is some pine. Hey Lefty, how you doing, girl? And this was the original little wallow pond that the pigs made over here. And they turned around and built a bigger one over here. This usually is where they get their water, their wallow, everything from now. I keep their water up front going as well, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'll have to come in here and clean all this eventually. Hopefully I can salvage a bunch of the muscadine that's grown on it. Yeah, that pig, that fence still bites, don't it? Almost sounded like that duck was laughing at her. She got electrocuted. But yeah, this grapevine is a very productive one. So hopefully I can get it to run along the fence and just cover it in the grapevine. Supposedly a gator in the pond, but I don't know. I still want to eventually get this cleaned up and get the goats and the pigs back in here and getting them access to the water some. But not yet, I guess. Got a lot of these tallow trees springing up everywhere. Lots of limbs have fallen. Huh. We'll get it all cleaned up and claimed at some point for the animals. Eventually. But I just wanted to show you that squash patch we got growing over there. And then the Wanda stuff just kind of happened. It was time. If her baby can get out all the time, go ahead and turn her loose. Like I said, Wanda's kind of the boss hog out here anyway, other than Lucy. She don't push her around too much. But they'll push each other around. Everybody will remember she's the boss and leave her be. But let me get to the sunroom and get to work. Something else that works out really well is our sweet potato program. These are the last few survivors from the squirrel attack, from the ones we grew last year. The squirrels come in here and ate them all when I left the door open like a fool. But I'm going to go ahead and harvest these again. We've already planted 25 that we've cut off of here. And I'm going to cut them up into sections, put them into some cups with some water, and go ahead and root them. And in about a week or so, go ahead and plug them into the ground. And we've got these little tomatoes, just some cuttings stuck in water. If they died, they died. If they survived, they survived. And they're rooting. The water probably should have been changed out, but they're rooting. They're not rotten, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them into some pots. And in a couple weeks, probably plug them into the ground. But let's get to it. Super simple. Cut the vines off, entangle them without breaking them too bad. And then every couple notches, I'll go ahead and trim it. We can't have these leaves down here in the bottom being in the water because they'll just rot and drown. So I cut them off, and then I take, like this right here, and this little area right here will produce the roots for me. And then I can go ahead and plant her. This one, I'll probably just go ahead and take this leaf off and just stick it in, because these are kind of thin, so I don't know if they would do anything. They might would though, you never know. I said before, sweet potatoes are amazing plants. They're so vigorous growers. Some of these are tangled up pretty bad. I don't want to break the vines. One little vine is now 3 sweet potato plants. And then a month or two's time, maybe I'll go out there and cut some of the vines that have come from that into more. It's just amazing how readily these sweet potatoes reproduce. Just like that, 3 more plants. Like I said, it don't take no time for these little guys to root just in straight water. No rooting hormone, nothing needed. And you could go to the store, buy you a good clean sweet potato that hasn't been sprayed with nothing or microwaved to stop it from growing, and get it to do the exact same thing. I'll try this one a little different. 3. Let's just see what I get out of that. And that's 1 cup full of water, full of sweet potatoes now. I mean, that's like, what, 12 plants already. Hopefully we'll be able to really take advantage of the sweet potatoes ground cover capabilities this year, all while getting a decent harvest off of it. I plan to be plugging this stuff in all over the place. 3 more. We're getting into some that aren't quite as long, but it doesn't matter. Still do just fine. So this one, not as long. I'll only just trim these bottom 2 off. Just plug her into some water. Can't wait to see how well these do this year. I think if this is successful next year, I might experiment with other varieties just to start learning more about the sweet potato. I'm not even that big of a fan of the way most people grow them. I don't like candied yams. Well, eat them, not grow them, prepare them. But I am curious to try new recipes with them, since it is such a good growing plant and does so well here that I would like to experiment and see what other ways there are to use it. I'm just gonna plug this one in. I'll see this one actually second runner here. Plug that little one in there. This one, do that. Like I said, it don't take much. And in another week or so, those potatoes will be piled up with more, and we'll be able to do something with them. There's our 6 little rooted cuttings heading outside. Now on to the papayas. Like much, but I think this is my last oak leaf papaya seed germinated, and every one of them sprouted. I have to go back and find the person I purchased it from and give them a bunch of praise, because that's amazing. And I think this might be my first ever mountain papaya seedling sprouted. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna try and see if we can't keep these rascals alive. We have quite a few oak leaves that have sprouted, so we'll see what happens with them. These are my other oak leaves. They've been outside now for a couple weeks. They most of them got too leggy in that container, but they're actually getting stronger out here, and we're gonna keep an eye on them and hopefully be able to get all of them transplanted out in the next month or so. And same thing we're going to try to do with those. When we don't have rain, I take this tray right here and put just a little bit of water in it, and as they start to dry out, I put the containers back in there and let them water from the bottom up. And that's what I think has kept them strong and not letting this heat and stuff get to them. They're shaded by the avocado tree I've got right here and the hedge that I kind of got them tucked under, next to some other things that I've been propagating, these old sagos and some elephant ears that were given to me, thinking that the cold had got them. But we'll see what comes of them. I'm gonna cut in here real quick. Thought I was done filming, but I'll show this right here to anybody who cares. Hopefully Randal will see this from Flumpton Famous. I actually spoke with him about it some when it first happened, but I took a bunch of cuttings off of my beautiful fig tree that was growing over there, which she's coming back strong, and just plugged them into these 3 pots, kept them, you know, moist. And fire ants have taken this one over, which is why I haven't plugged this guy back into it just yet. I don't know if you can see them right there marching around. Pulled a couple weeds out real quick so we could see. But this one you would have thought was dead. When you give it a little closer inspection, it's definitely coming out. But look at all this root growth. I was pulling the weeds out, and that's what you see. So you're not sure what's really happening behind the scenes when you're messing with these. I'm gonna plug this in somewhere else and see how she does in her own little pot. Have an idea where she's gonna go, but you see, even in the fire ant one, we got new growth there, growth there. Got a new one coming on there. Right there's a little bit. And this one actually came out the ground and had almost as much roots as the one in my hand does. And the next pot, the ants are starting to move into, so I've really got to deal with them. But you got one coming up there, got that there, and then this last pot that there's no ants in, but I plugged a pineapple top in there with it as well. You actually have what I would call a tree already in here. More growth there. I haven't weeded it, but growth there. Pretty much every stick in here is alive. Some growth down in there, but that one's already got a beautiful little tree growing on her own. So yeah, I was able to preserve those genetics. Hopefully it'll stick around. And I'm gonna plug a couple of these in back in the food forest, just because it's such a good grower here. And then probably eventually pot them up and put them up for sale. But I just wanted to show y'all what come of all those little cuttings I took. Looks like the majority of them have rooted. That's such a good little tree. Ugh. But just wanted to share that. And now I reckon I'll let y'all go. Wado for your support and Wado for watching.